for the 777X, guys. I'm gonna try and get some info about these folding wingtips. They are really impressive.
The folding wingtips is really a very simple design, extremely reliable. The pilots will manually extend the wingtips prior to entering the runway. The procedural driven step that the pilots need to go through. There are all various warning systems in place to tell the pilots if they have not folded the wingtips prior to takeoff. And then there's a significant series of warnings that are built into the design if they were to try to commence a takeoff without the folding wingtips. On landing, the wingtips will fold automatically once the pilots decelerate through a certain speed, and then so that they're in place in the folded position for their taxi to the gate.
Okay.
The design itself is it's a very large locking pin that travels through the locking mechanism, which keeps the wingtips folded in flight, and they're also inhibited in flight, so that they cannot be folded in flight. And that's really it. Very reliable and a great feature that adds additional wingspan and makes the wing more efficient. And then once it's on the ground, it's exactly the same wingspan as the 777's 300ER. So it fits in the same gates and it fits in the same Cody environment on the airport.
I bet it'll be really cool to see that from a passenger perspective when you're taking off and landing the folding.
I think it'll be a very, very nice feature to look at. Yeah, if you're looking out the window.
There's that one particular bank when it looks like sort of 90 degrees of bank. Is it actually? Do you know?
Well, it's 45 degrees of bank angle.
45, yeah.
No, it's a little bit more than 45 degrees. It's a very highly trained maneuver. We don't recommend anyone else does, and you need to be a flight test pilot to be trained in that procedure.
Don't try this at home.
Don't try it at home.
My name is Malik, and I'm a flight test ground operations engineer. So my job is to manage the airplane's gross weight and center of gravity. We have the water barrels on the airplane, as you can see, 12 in the forward, 12 in the aft. As we're doing various test conditions, we'll move the water from the forward part of the airplane to the aft to counteract that fuel burn to maintain the center of gravity. So depending on the type of testing, whether we're going to test at the forward limit or the aft limit, we'll move the water respectively to maintain that full center of gravity band for the whole duration of the test. This airplane does various testing. We have 4 airplanes in the flight test fleet. Airplane 1 does takeoff performance testing, brakes testing. Airplane 2 does avionics testing. Airplane 3 does engine performance testing. Airplane 4 does environmental control systems testing. Okay. So all 4 airplanes have a dedicated specific kind of testing they do, so that helps us do all the testing simultaneously to help expedite the process. We normally have about 12 to 16 folks on board. It includes the pilot, test director, some systems engineers, instrumentation engineers, ground operations, and that usually adds up to about 12 to 16 depending on the severity of the test.
Are all touch screens, so you can actually directly interface with the screens, which is a change from the 787.
Yeah.
We have the dual HUDs like the 787 does. There are options here. Not every customer necessarily wants them. We do have some additional functionality available through the HUDs as well. In addition to a low visibility takeoff capability, we also have something we call perspective runway, which gives the pilot more visibility to where the runway is, and then once they touch down, it has runway remaining markers, gives them a little bit more situational awareness, which is great. That's what the HUD's kind of all about. And really appreciate that. Some of the other features, this airplane obviously has brake to exit, which is new to the Boeing fleet. That is one of our newer technologies. It's been working great, slows the airplane down to 15 knots at a selected taxiway, or 30 knots if you choose the high speed. So that's been really great, and it's been working really well. Of course, the wingtips, folding wingtips is a huge area of interest. They've been performing actually flawlessly. It's just like any other configuration check that the pilot does before taking the runway. You set your flaps, you extend the wingtips, you take the runway, and you take off. If the wingtips weren't set to extend when you take the runway, you get escalating levels of alerting to the point where the airplane will actually tell you to reject the takeoff. So there's a lot of protection involved in the wingtip technology and alerting for the wingtip status. That's an area of conversation that a lot of people want to learn about.
Yeah.
On landing, the wingtips naturally automatically fold at 50 knots ground speed. So when the pilots clear the runway, they don't have to start thinking about add to their workload, we've got to get the wingtips folded. No, they automatically fold. The switch follows the fold, and everything works great. And again, it has been performing really flawlessly throughout the years.
Would you be able to show me where that selection happens?
I almost see it every day. It's a switch right here, and so the crew would normally pull it out and extend it to the extend position. That display then goes from folded. Once the wingtips are extended, it goes to green and it says extended. Nice. The wingtips are mechanically locked out, so it's not possible to fold them during flight. They actually electronically isolated, and then mechanically there's a large bolt that goes through what looks like hinges, and it locks out the power and locks out the capabilities. So there's no way that the wingtips can fold in flight.
Wow. Must be some very strong materials in those.
Definitely, yes, absolutely.
Very cool.
So yeah, it's been a great airplane. Flying it has been a real pleasure.
Yeah.
The ride is really nice. It's been very comfortable, and up here it's very comfortable. We have some new seats that make the ride a little bit nicer.
They seem great.
Yeah.
You on previous versions of the 777 before?
Yeah, I've flown the previous versions of the 777, the 200, 300, 300ER, and then for 10 years I was a project pilot on the 787, so I've done an awful lot on that airplane as well.
I was curious if you missed that particular shade of beige brown from the old 777s, or if it's an improvement, this one.
I've heard some people really like that shade of brown. I personally am kind of more of a gray person myself.
I think I would be too. It's funny how many people have strong opinions about it.
Yeah, it is actually. It's kind of amazing. I guess that's why people have different house colors.